Hey, happy Thursday. You know, just me having a little dance party over here. Do y'all ever do that? If you don't do that, and maybe you do it with your kids, but I highly recommend it. Put on some great, crazy music and just dance around. It's good for your hormones too. Let's talk about hormones. What are we in? Week whatever. Yeah, like we're a month in and we've kind of been dabbling on different subjects, all related to hormone management. And as we know, I want to repeat this again and again and again. Weight loss, weight management is really hormone balance. If we can understand that, we can make huge strides, right? That keeps us away from this quick fix mentality. I love the way, I think I've said this before in this group, but the way my holistic doctor described the way our bodies work, it's like a Swiss watch. All the different parts are working together in synchronicity. Is that a word? It's going to be for today. But when one part is off, the whole system kind of gets out of whack. And that's where those symptoms show up. They say that once we start to show symptoms, the problem has been present for a long time. I've read statistics like your body is already 40% damaged. I don't like the word damaged. I just think it means a system is off, but it doesn't mean that it can't be corrected and fixed. Are we ever going to feel like we did when we were, 15? Probably not. But we can still feel better in this journey. So let's take a quick case study. We've been talking about we are a chemistry lab, not a bank account, the way that we fuel our bodies. What are hormones anyways? So y'all are familiar with them. We hear, especially if you're a woman, I don't think we have any teenagers even anymore in this group, but you've been hearing about estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, those types of things. Insulin, these are all chemical messengers that your body needs and uses to function well. And what happens is, and you guys know this one, this is an epidemic in America, diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Some people call that a lifestyle disease, and that's when insulin, a hormone, is upregulated and goes out of whack. It's just kind of haywire. So where do these hormones come from? Do we know? I think you know. If you've ever had a period, you know. We have no guys in this group, I don't think. But if we think about the glands and the organs, we think about ovaries, we think about, I almost said testes, but we don't have any guys in this group. But thyroid, adrenals, you should be laughing or spitting out your coffee at this point. Pituitary, all of the endocrine system really works together to keep your hormones regulated. I heard something one time, which I thought was such a great little analogy, because sometimes we read, I like to nerd out and read these articles, but sometimes it gets really complicated and you're like, what does this mean to me? But if you think about estrogen in your body, estrogen is a good thing. We need estrogen. It makes us female. It gives us a lot of the characteristics that we get to enjoy. Well, estrogen, if you think about it like grass, so your estrogen production is like grass, and your progesterone comes along to balance it out. So it's the lawnmower. So your estrogen gets a little out of whack and your progesterone comes by and mows the grass, if you will. What happens when testosterone's too high or progesterone's out of whack? Estrogen gets really crazy, and that's called estrogen dominance. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail there, but I know a lot about it because that's what I suffer from. Some of those common symptoms that we might feel, fatigue, changes in sleep, changes in appetite, higher perceived stress, slowed metabolism. Now, some of those fall into a lot of different categories. But hormone imbalance, when that Swiss watch, remember all the little pieces, when you've got a piece out of whack, you may have estrogen dominance, or you may have estrogen, a low estrogen. You may have PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. You may have had problems with fertility, and a lot of that is hormone balance. And it's funny because when I was going through, actually, I had infertility problems. My doctor never talked about hormones. We never talked about what might be the root issue. We just talked about the symptoms. We just took some medicine to get my ovaries working so that I could have a baby. Diabetes being another one. Hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, adrenal fatigue. That is a big problem where we have overtaxed the adrenal system. That sounds awful, right? Now we've gotten the awful out of the way, because that, to me, gosh, I already have high perceived stress, and now you're stressing me out, telling me all this stuff that's going to affect me with hormone imbalance. But here's the deal. We can work on that, and it's the way we work on it is what we've been doing. So here's the secret. Y'all want to know the secret? I want to know the secret. Here's the way to control your hormones. And you may be in a spot where you need additional medication from a physician. I'm going to put that disclaimer out there. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. Okay, so if your doctor is guiding you down that path, take that wisdom, do your research, and then also implement these things, okay? But maybe you're not quite there yet. Maybe you want to exhaust all the opportunities before jumping onto a medicinal bandwagon. So here's some things that you can look at. Genetics. How did that work out? Like, did you have parents that were, in these camps? Did they have fertility problems? Did they have hormone imbalances? Me personally, my mom had a hysterectomy when I was born, so I have no way of knowing, because that sent her into a whole tizzy. That's, I don't know what her genetic makeup is like, and her mom's been gone for a long time. But if you look at your personal medical history, so I've already told you about some of mine, some of my issues. My genetics, kind of unknown. Stress, I've got a lot of stress in my life. And remember when we talked about stress, I think we talked about it here. Stress is not just, I think sometimes we as Americans think, well, I don't have a stressful job. Like, I am actually a work-at-home mom. I have a lot of freedom. I don't have that stressful 9 to 5, get in Atlanta traffic all the time kind of stress that I did. But when I had back surgery when I was in 7th grade, that stressed my sympathetic nervous system from then on, right? So that's underlying stress that my body's been going through. Every subsequent surgery after that added stress. So I had my gallbladder removed, I had 2 C-sections, like I've had a lot of little surgeries here and there. All that adds stress. Couple that in with a working career, couple that in with traffic, I live in Atlanta, couple that in with raising kids, couple that in with I'm married, so that's never, that's not unstressful, that's sometimes peaceful and loving and sometimes very stressful. That's life. So all of those layers of stress couple in to call, just that bucket of stress for you. Diet, that's why we're here. And exposure to toxins. We haven't talked a lot about that. I know this is something that Kimberly's super passionate about. She's been reading a book called The Rain Barrel Effect, and I won't spill the beans, but we are exposed to a lot more now than we were 15, 20 years ago. We are exposed to exponentially more toxins right now than our parents were. Things have changed. As advances in technology have changed, products have changed, chemicals have changed to make things in our life better. But with that comes some side effects. So all of that, and you're like, Stephanie, I thought you said you're getting over the bad news. Yes, I am. I'm getting there. So how do we fix all of this? And again, I want to say, I'm not a doctor, and we don't necessarily fix it, but we can manage things and make our life improved for sure. Food allergies. We talked about that. We eliminated already some of those things that are common food insensitivities, food intolerances, and food allergies. Now, you may not have taken out all 7, but maybe you dabbled in one. I successfully took out all 7. I have stayed off of corn. I've tried to stay off of gluten. And I can tell you something, after being off of it for a while and then coming home, I went to Mexico last week and I came home and we had Chinese food and I ate the noodles and I felt horrible. And it could have been a variety of things. It could have been the MSG, who knows? It could have been the noodles. It could have been not a wise choice for me. So that's when you're thinking of that chemistry lab mentality, I'm making notes of that. I'm making notes of that in my little food log. So food allergies and gut issues. We've talked about leaky gut. We've talked about how your body, when you're eating food, if it's not being processed 100% and it's leaking out into your system, you are developing an immunity or immune response to that, which is inflammation. Often presents as muffin top, that kind of thing. Leaky gut is a real problem. Now, not everyone believes in leaky gut. I happen to be a huge believer in it. I would say that arguably 80 to 90% of Americans probably experience leaky gut and the symptoms from it. So what are some of the things, how does that show up? Hey, Priscilla, how does that show up? So it shows up in being overweight, obese, high levels of inflammation, achy joints, some of the stuff that we deal with that's above and beyond, like, I don't mean achy joints because you did a tough workout. I mean achy joints like osteoarthritis and some things like that that are prolonged chronic inflammatory conditions. Talked about genetics, toxicity, and then that stress coupled with little or no sleep. All that to say, how did we get here? How in the world did we get here? Well, that's a complicated answer, but I have some theories. Most of us are of the generations that lived through the 80s and 90s. We lived through that low fat, high carbohydrate, simplify your life. If it's in a green box and it says healthy, let's buy it. And so we did. And that is not the way to sustain hormone management. Let's go back to what we talked about. Hormones are produced by the body. They need healthy fats to be maintained. And we went through a whole generation, probably 10 to 20 years of eating low fat, no fat, fat-free, chemical, fake food, but it said that it was a diet food and we were on that yo-yo. We've really screwed up our hormones. So how do we take off the mask of that, stop eating the SnackWells, and then really dive into nutrition and how that can suit us? The first thing I will tell you, I tried this right after Thanksgiving. So between Thanksgiving and Christmas of last year, I did a lot of research on hormones, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna prove them wrong. Are you any skeptics out there? If you're like me, you're a skeptic. I generally think I'm being sold. I generally think they're full of poo-poo. I'm not gonna listen to it, but I want to prove them wrong. I want to take the information and do a study of one. And so for 1 week, I did a very high healthy fat. I was not eating bacon and lard. I was doing high healthy fats. So when I say high healthy fats, I'm talking avocados, I'm talking coconut oil, I'm talking grass-fed butter, I'm talking wild-caught salmon, I'm talking seeds and nuts. I did avoid legumes. I try to weed out peanuts since that's a common allergen. How did that make me feel? Where did I end up? What did that look like? I felt more balanced than I have felt in a long time. My skin looked great, and I lost weight. You can't tell me there's not a connection between the two of those. So if you think about the healthy fats, and that includes things that have saturated fat and cholesterol, like when I do, hey Caitlin, when I subscribe to ButcherBox, when I eat those good grass-fed, grass-finished meats that are full of healthy, in my mind, healthy fats, because they give me nutrients and micronutrition that I need, I feel better. So think about it that way. It keeps the inflammation low. Omega-3s, we talk a lot about omega-3s versus omega-6s. I'm not going to go into that right now, but you want them to be balanced. Omega-6s are things like your refined oils, your soybean oil, your cottonseed oil, peanut oil, those types of things. Processed foods have a lot of omega-6s and they have unhealthy fats. So you want to balance that out. You want to get as many omega-3 healthy fats as you can. So healthy fats are good. Repeat after me. Healthy fats are good. If you think about an avocado, you're getting a twofer, right? It's a healthy fat and it's got a lot of fiber. Plus it makes your shake super smooth and creamy. It's good brain food, and whatever's good for our brain is also good for our skin. That's a cool thing. I love that. Now, keep in mind, when I say seeds and nuts, that may inflame you. You may be somebody who says, I cannot eat seeds and nuts. It just makes my tummy hurt. Then don't eat them. Look for other healthy fats, and we can come up with other solutions here. The last thing I'm going to say about this is that whenever you swap out healthy fats for refined carbs, that is a positive switch. Don't hear me say all carbs, okay? Don't blame the butter for what the bread did, okay? It's not the butter's fault. It's the bread. When we're talking about refined carbohydrates, that's where we get into problems. When we stick to that traditional American diet, standard American diet, there's a reason why it's sad, because it's the stuff that doesn't make us feel that great. Go with those good whole grain carbohydrates. Go with the sweet potatoes, the brown rice, that kind of stuff. So work with that. One of my favorite recipes, if y'all have an Instant Pot, is to do whole grain, long grain, wild or sprouted brown rice, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, and then a little bit of salt in there. You do 1 cup of water, turn it on for 18 minutes on the pressure cook. It's amazing. It's the best rice you'll ever have. So that's the way to incorporate healthy fats along with the other things that you're eating, good fibers and things like that. Okay, last little nugget. Hey, Miss Janet. When we talk about all of this together, so hormone balance, we've got our healthy fats, we're on board with that. There's one other way that we can incorporate, I gotta talk quick because my battery's dying, incorporate something that's super healthy for us. You've probably heard of adaptogenic herbs, and if you haven't, that sounds like, what the heck is she talking about now? There's a lot of research in Chinese medicine that has filtered over into traditional medicine, and things that you're just going to hear more about over the years, right? This has become more popularized. It's safe to talk about it now. I don't feel like a quack talking about these things, but one of the adaptogenic herbs, and adaptogenic means it is something that is a nutritional supplement that helps your body work well, helps your body fight stress, helps your body eliminate free radicals. Again, if you don't know what free radicals are, you can comment below and we'll have a sidebar discussion, but that you don't want that because that degrades your cells. It's not good for your body. It makes you feel bad, blah, blah, blah. That's very, very simplified. Ashwagandha is an herb that helps manage stress. And again, back to what we talked about earlier in this video, we all have stress. We probably have more stress than we think we have. So having something come alongside nutritional support to help that stress level helps the hormones stay balanced. Things like medicinal mushrooms, and I don't mean just like portobello. Like there's so many good benefits of mushrooms, and hopefully you all can eat mushrooms, but mushrooms are great for satiety. It makes you feel good. But when you talk about medicinal mushrooms like chaga and some of those other mushrooms, the benefits, again, cordyceps, that kind of thing, those things really help the hormone balance. And when we have all those things working together, remember the gears, things start to work differently. Things start to work smoothly. It takes a while to get you on the track. Here's what's so cool about a lot of the adaptogenic herbs. Guess where you'll find those? They're already in Shakeology. This is something the company decided to incorporate years ago. So you've got the benefit of that right there in that daily dose of dense nutrition. Isn't that cool? Like, it's so funny. I remember when I first started drinking Shakeology, I had been under treatment for IBS. And I'm not saying that this is the only solution to IBS, but for me, I was able to take all of those meds that I was on, toss them, because what was in this was helping my digestion, helping my hormones regulate, helping my weight maintain because the hormones are regulating. All of that working together, and I give so much credit to all those adaptogenic herbs. They have a purpose. Now, are they at a level that you're going to have huge benefits in Shakeology? No, but you're going to have benefits in Shakeology because I guarantee you none of you were taking ashwagandha, rhodiola, chaga before you started in this group, which is so fun because I think a lot of those little improvements that you're seeing each day have huge benefit from that. So wrapping it up, last little nugget. Doesn't have to do with healthy fats or Shakeology or adaptogens, but we've been talking about breathing and sleeping. Y'all, it's all related. It's all related. It's like they're married. It's like this married couple, these hormones. Breathing and sleeping, breathing, calming breaths. I'll share with you, I don't think we've done this breathing technique, so I'll give you a little nugget. But when you're under a lot of stress, if you do left nostril breathing, it looks really funny, right? That will bring your heart rate down. It will bring you in a place of less stress. And when we were flying to Mexico, we hit some turbulence, and I was internally freaking out a little bit. And so I was doing this. My husband looked over at me and he said, "Are you okay?" I was like, Just going to keep doing some left nostril breathing. I didn't tell him that, but all of it's related. So the lesson for today, increase your healthy fats in the form of things like coconuts, nuts and seeds, avocados, wild-caught salmon. Get your breathing, practice those meditations. This is layering, y'all. Don't pick and choose. Put it all in the shopping cart and practice it, not perfectly. Remember what Kimberly said. Progress is the perfectionist group, right? We're perfecting the rhythm of life by all these little layers. So I hope this information was helpful. Comment below if you've got questions. Like if you're still kind of like, I don't know, I'm stumped here, or why does this happen, or why am I experiencing this, or how do I incorporate that? Here's the cool thing too. We said that the adaptogenic herbs are in Shakeology. Here's what you can do. Throw in your healthy fats with your shake. Oh, Yahtzee. I freeze avocados. Those go right in my shake. It goes in my kids' shake too. They have no idea. Soda nuts and seeds. So we'll talk more about that later. I'm going to hop off now. Y'all have a great day. Questions, comments, how can we help? Love you guys.